they don't get an answer, they just like keep calling. They just like, they call and they call because they're like 8, 9-year-olds,
Yeah, they don't even know.
Yeah.
How fun.
Anyway. Okay. Yeah. All the stuff you have to look forward to in a
I
few
know.
years
I
time.
know, especially with the boys. I'm like,
It's a different ball game. It's
Mhm.
like, I mean, I think all parents say like all their children are unique individuals and stuff, but I have to say mine are pretty stereotypically boy and girl.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's definitely something to that,
Yeah.
like my son was totally obsessed with cars and my daughter is deeply obsessed with pink and like just wearing ballerina dresses and
Yeah.
just like carrying bags around like this and like heart shapes. I mean, it's just like, and we don't teach them this stuff. I'm
Yeah,
not
they just
like
figure it out.
they
They just
just
have their test.
they
Yep.
gravitate towards what they gravitate towards. But okay.
I love it.
All right. Welcome to Voices on the Side, Betina Gozo. Just a little quick introduction on this amazing, remarkable woman. She is a mom, quite newly to her second baby. You got 2 under 2. She is a
Hell yeah.
Nike 2 under 2, that's a whole other
Wild.
level of motherhood. She is a Nike global trainer, which is how we originally met many moons ago. She's host of the Beyond the Routine podcast, co-founder of the Lineup community, and on top of all that, author of the Women's Guide to Strength Training. Welcome, Betina. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me and thank you for the wonderful intro.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure there's so much more, but like I wanted to, get the highlights in there. So this podcast I've created to highlight voices that we don't see portrayed that much in day-to-day life or certainly in the media. I mean, we're seeing it much more nowadays, which is wonderful. And you are such an amazing headliner. I mean, I really, as I was thinking about guests, I like really couldn't have asked for a better one. I just was like, I haven't talked to Betina in a while because I've been in my own kind of cave of motherhood and like, not really active on social. And, but I just like, I love how you have been at the forefront of such an important industry as a woman of color, and as a mother, like you're still maintaining what you're doing professionally while you're raising a family. And so I'm just so excited to just highlight your story and hear all about like the ups, the downs. And,
Yeah.
I think our listeners would really benefit from everything you have to offer. And I'd love to just start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind telling us like where you were born, like
Yeah.
anything about your family of origin and all that.
Yeah. Well, I was born in the Philippines and to a single mom. My mom had me at 24.
Wow.
She was dating somebody, but she knew in her heart that he wasn't ready for a family and a baby. So she ended up leaving him. She reminds me all the time how she had to stay with the nuns in the Philippines and like they were taking care of her. But, my
Wow.
mom did have a lot of support. Like she is one of 7 children, but at the same time, as much as that seems like a lot of support, it was also very distracting because there were so many children. My mom's mom, my grandma, my Lola, she was the mayor of the town that they
Wow.
were from. So she was also very busy. And my mom was the second youngest. So, she already had a lot of distractions, like growing up, like she had a hard time growing up. So when having a child, she just didn't really know how to take care of one individually. So she was supported by the nuns. She would go to like a women's center and she's very I think my mom is really 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 strong. I know she's really strong. It was really hard for her because she was on a similar path with me, like as I am, like doing a lot of things in front of people. Like I know she was modeling and like in front of the camera, and I think it was hard for her to give that up.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have the support. And in the Philippines it's different. You don't have child support, when someone's just not in your life anymore. And so it was very challenging for her. And I know that no matter what, though, she wanted the best for me. So I was born in the Philippines, small town. But then when I was only 18 months, my mom decided to go to the United States to follow my grandma. So, because she knew that that would be the best thing for me. And so she had to
Yeah.
leave me in the Philippines by
Oh,
myself with my aunts.
wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
she left me for 6 months. And it's so wild because I remember when she told me that, of course I knew like, wow, that's so crazy that you did that. But like after becoming a mother and like
Right.
seeing a Luna be 18 months and like, I can't
Oh,
live a day without her,
I
you know?
know. Yeah. Yeah.
And then knowing that she went 6 months, not even just down the street or in another state, but in another country and in a country that you don't even know
Yeah.
is so wild. You know, she just really wanted to start a new life for me. And even nowadays, she's like, I'm so happy that I did that because like I look at you now and I look at all the things that she's like, you're so American. She always
Yeah.
says, you're so American, you're so American.
And she means that in like the
Yes,
best way, right? Like it's this,
exactly.
yeah, for like immigrant families to achieve that, like, and
Hmm.
to know that the decisions she made in her 20s as a brand new mom paid off. Like she knew that that was going to be the best thing for you. And it must be so gratifying for her to see that now.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
She's so proud. And it's cool because now she's doing her own thing too. Like she does pottery and
Oh,
she's
okay.
she's a
Where are you?
nurse.
Do you
She's
guys
in
live in the
Chicago.
same? Oh, she's in
No,
Chicago. Okay.
yeah, she's in Chicago. I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
But she actually was just here for the week. And it was so nice. But I know she wanted to check out the arts district out here. So I'm like, maybe she'll think about moving here someday.
Yeah. Wait, so where did she immigrate to initially?
Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was
Okay.
in Connecticut, and then after that, she went to Indiana. And so I grew up in Northwest Indiana.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, I spent a lot of time with my cousins. I was the youngest cousin for the longest time. Um,
And what language? Wait, so you moved at 18, you were 18 months?
I was two by
Oh,
the
you were
time I
two.
actually,
Okay. Oh, because she
yeah.
stayed with you for 18 months and
Hmm.
then you were two. What language were you around? Were they, I
I
know they
was
speak
yeah,
English in
Tagalog.
Philippines.
Tagalog is the language. My grandma spoke to me in Tagalog the most.
Okay.
But my mom, knowing that she wanted me to be Americanized, she spoke to me in English
Okay.
because and she regrets it now. She's like, I really wish that I spoke to you in Tagalog more,
Right.
you know. And nowadays, like our daughter only calls us nanay and tatay, which is mother and
Oh,
father in
that's
Tagalog.
cute. Yeah.
So we try to incorporate as much Tagalog as we can with our daughter, even though Nick is obviously he's white, so he
Yeah.
doesn't speak Tagalog, but he likes to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
And I only know some words, so I wasn't speaking. I only spoke Tagalog when I first came to the United States.
Okay.
Like my cousins who were all American were all like, we don't know what this little child is saying.
Right. Yeah.
Like all I did was run around and scream in Tagalog.
Yeah. But you were little enough where like it was, you
Yes,
absorbed English really easily and you maintained
exactly,
some of your Tagalog understanding, right? But you're probably like
exactly.
me. Like I always say that I can speak Korean. I sound fluent, but my vocabulary is very limited. Like,
Yes,
yeah, like I can have
yes,
like banter, like,
yes.
easy stuff. And then if it goes to anything semi like sophisticated or, like I
You just
can't
have to go.
yeah, I'm like, oh, I got to switch over to English. Like I don't, but you have like an ear for it, right? Like you,
Yes, I love when
yeah.
I'm at the store or something and I'm like, oh, or I could hear them talking in Tagalog. I'm like, oh, are you Filipino? And they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
And
always
like
like a fun little bond.
tell me about that. Like tell me about that when you bump into people like strangers even and they recognize like a shared race, shared ethnic background. Like what is that? What's that been like?
I think it's interesting because it depends on the city that I'm in. Because I feel like in Chicago and Portland, because I lived in Chicago and then I lived in Portland, both of those cities didn't have a ton of Filipinos.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
when I would meet someone else that was Filipino, it was very exciting and I would gravitate to them. But then when I lived in California, it's like everybody is Filipino. So when I'm like, are
Right.
you Filipino? They're like, yeah,
They're like,
I
duh.
am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was a very interesting change for me, but I loved it because when I moved to California, I was 33, and that was the first time I had a ton of Filipino friends. Like
Yeah.
so many Filipino friends and a lot of Filipino friends that were doing big things in the industry. Like it was the first time I ever went to like Filipino events where there
Yeah.
were just like a lot of cool Filipinos,
Yeah.
and it was just a fun little like I never had that in Chicago or Portland. Like I had a few Filipino friends and we would, we'd bond over Filipino food and Filipino desserts, but it
Yeah.
wasn't ever like this like abundance of people and that we could all bond over these
Yeah.
different
But
things,
did you grow up with a lot of your cousins? Like, were you in school with these cousins and stuff?
No,
That,
they were a little older than me and they were all half Filipino. So,
hmm.
yeah, so and it didn't seem like we didn't really have a ton of Filipino traditions except for the food, and at
I
the
love,
parties.
I've eaten so many lumpia in my life.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, lumpia is so good. Oh my gosh.
good old healthy, deep fried
I
spring
know.
rolls.
It's so funny because people ask me, they're like, what is Filipino food like? I'm like, I feel like they kind of stole different things from different Asian cultures and kind of were like,
Sure.
we're just going to make a mishmash of this
Yeah.
kind of food. Like there's noodles, there's fried
Yeah.
food. But my favorite is the lechon, which is like a big pig.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always have like that big crispy pig. And like
Yeah.
whenever we'd have family parties, my mom would get the lechon.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
But sorry,
that's a
I interrupted you. I interrupted you because you said food, but I was saying
oh
like,
yeah. Oh,
like your
food's the best.
school, like how what was school like, going to school, and were there other Filipinos or
Ah,
Asians and like,
no. So I actually went to a Catholic school up until I was in sixth grade. And my mom again was a single mom, and I was in Northwest Indiana. I was the only Asian girl.
mm,
And I also had I think I had two Mexican friends, but like I wasn't like the moms were mean to my mom. I remember them like,
no,
yeah, I remember them being like I don't ever I don't ever remember seeing them be mean to my mom, but I remember my mom feeling that. Like I
yeah,
remember her feeling those emotions, and I remember her not wanting to take me to Girl Scouts because she didn't want to go to the, see the other moms. And,
yeah,
I think when the other moms were mean to my mom, it made their girls kind of be snotty to me.
right,
And it was a very interesting time because I remember all of those feelings that my mom was having, but I didn't really understand them, but I could feel them.
yeah,
And my mom also didn't have a lot of money. She was going to nursing school, and Catholic school isn't a private school if that is not
yeah,
that cheap, but she
yeah.
really wanted me to go to a good school. And, I had the reduced lunches, like the
Oh
little
man,
card that said
yeah,
that I had the reduced lunch. And
yeah,
so like people noticed that. And it was so challenging for her because I think that she wanted, and I don't know that I ever felt it. Like I
mm,
felt it from the other kids, but I think I could feel the insecurity that my mom was feeling. And so
yeah,
that affected me because I still had friends, and I would still
yeah,
go to, go have play dates and things like that. But when I look back, I was like, wow, yeah, I was friends with the two other Mexican or the two other
yeah,
people that are of color,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
wouldn't ever go to the white girls' houses.
yeah.
It was very interesting.
And like,
But
it's
that
only like in hindsight that you're like, oh, that happened that way. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
and I never really thought of it that way until I got older and really like was thinking about my friends in grade school. Because a lot of people that I know, at least when I went to high school, like they were friends ever since middle school or since grade school, and like I'm not friends with anybody that I went to grade school with. But
Yeah.
it also was because my mom ended up getting married when I was 8, and so we moved cities. So I
Right.
moved from Indiana to Illinois, and then I went to public school for the first time. And that was actually the first time I felt a little more at home because there was a lot more diversity at the school that I went to. And I started to I was doing more activities, I was doing dance, I had more opportunities to do different things. And I also felt like they celebrated that I was different, but
Yeah.
not in a weird way, but like, I remember winning an award for getting good grades and like, coming to a new school and being on the dance team and being in the plays and, putting myself out there. So I remember it was called like the presidential award or something when I was in 8th grade. It was like kind of a big deal. And my mom was like, wait, I had no idea that they even considered you for this. So,
Yeah.
like, I think that mom was really proud to see that things were different and that I was more welcomed.
Do you think you said that, like, even though you didn't really feel that when you were younger, you saw the way it affected your mom and that affected you? What I feel like it maybe empowered you into like, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. How did it affect you? Like, seeing it on behalf of your mom and it's just you and your mom, just the two of you?
It was just the two of us.
You don't have siblings.
I'm an only child. She had a boyfriend at the time and it wasn't a good relationship. Like I remember that not being very healthy either.
Yeah.
But she ended up breaking up with him at some point, and then it was really just me and her for a while. And I feel like there was a sense of empowerment in a way once I got to public school and I was able to do all these things.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like look what I can do now. Like
right. Like prove you wrong.
Yes.
I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm like almost like doing it on behalf of your mom, kind of like.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like it was so cool. And she, she spent all her extra money taking me to acting classes and dance classes. And she didn't have a lot of money, but she wanted me to do all these activities. And when I got to public school, I was able to make the dance team, be in the plays and be in choir and do all these fun things. And I think it was cool for her to see. And I felt like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. Like I actually feel like I'm part of something now.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that was high school or junior?
That was
like kind of junior
middle
high,
school. 7th grade is when I first went to public school. And then high school was awesome. Like I remember the first few years were really great. But then unfortunately, my junior year is when my parents got divorced. And it was, if you could follow, it's my ex-stepdad now.
Right.
My mom got married when I was 9.
Right.
No, not 9. A little bit older than that, because it would be 7th grade. I can't keep track, but I was in 7th grade when I moved.
Yeah.
And my mom even always says, she's like, I always wanted to find you like a father figure and someone that would like help take care of us. And I think I had a hard time when they got divorced because my mom would always say that phrase, like, I wanted to find someone that could take care of us and someone that was a father figure to you. But I think I kind of resented her in a way that I was like, well, why didn't you find someone that like you loved, that you could kind of start a life with, and this is someone that it's not just about me, but I appreciated that that's what she wanted. And I know that that's really what that was her goal, was to make sure that I was in a good school and that people were, like I had a family and I felt supported. But I always felt that, like, I always felt support. I feel like it was more about my mom feeling those things. Like it was her insecurities, like feeling like I didn't have this and I hadn't have that. But even when it was just me and her, like, I think I felt secure. Like I feel like my own self, I felt secure because I knew she loved me. I had my cousins, I had my uncles and aunts, but I think it was really her that was feeling like she needed to find somebody to take care of me. And I get it, because even now, like, I'm always like texting my husband, can you help me get this? Can you do this? Can you like, I couldn't do anything without him, but I started a life with him because I truly love him.
Right.
And like, we decided we want kids together.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I just looked at it so differently, knowing that my mom experienced that.
Yeah. I think that's like something I've been hearing a lot about, like immigrant families or like the immigrant parents is their mentality is survival. They're just like looking to survive. And just imagine like moving to a totally different country, just like not knowing anything, like not knowing people. I mean, you had family, but like just
that's it though, and
it's like, but you don't know the culture. You look different. Your mom's very aware. She looks different, even if she speaks. She learned English in the Philippines, right?
She learned English. Yep.
But like, she probably speaks with an accent. Like she doesn't sound American, right? Like, so like just coming to a new country, new life, and the vulnerability of a new mother. You're just like,
Mhm.
how am I going to keep this baby alive and like set her up for like a good life? It's just so much. So
Yeah.
you're just looking to survive. And then we, as the younger generation, they're like offspring, we have the privilege of like wanting more than that, like
Yes.
we have the privilege of like, looking to thrive. Right. So,
Uh-huh.
I really didn't appreciate that I was born in the States, in Chicago, actually, which,
Oh, I did.
I don't
Oh,
know.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I only lived there till I was like 2, almost 3, I
Uh-huh.
think. But my parents were in Illinois for like a decade almost. But they got married and they immigrated. And, when you're a kid, you're like, I was like, okay, that was your life. That was your choice. Great. I was born in America, whatever. And
Yeah.
now that I'm older and I'm looking back, it's just like, oh my God, what they did, and they didn't even
Yes.
really speak English, because in Korea, I think they do study it, but they study it like how in American schools you study English or
Spanish.
French. Like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
Spanish or French. Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I think like we have this privilege of being able to think of like, well, it's not even survival. It's like, what can I do to really live like the fullest? And we
Yeah.
really have our parents to thank for that. Are you still in touch with your stepfather at all?
I do.
Your
I
ex
do talk
stepfather?
to him.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's great.
he's still a big part of my life. And
Okay.
after they got divorced, I was very angry. Because it was the
Mm,
first time I felt like he was the one, because my mom kept saying that phrase, like, he's going to take care of you, he's going to be your father figure. So
right.
once I finally switched over to this new life where now all of a sudden I'm on the dance team and doing all the fun things and,
Yeah.
having a quote unquote good life, like we actually had like a nice car, they're just little
Yeah.
things that I never really had before, even though I couldn't drive, but like just knowing how we lived, even just the house that my mom lived in. Like my mom even would make me feel bad about like reminding me now, like the house. She was like, "Oh, we had cockroaches, da da da," just like how I don't remember those things.
Yeah.
But so whenever they got divorced, I remember being really angry at her, like
Mm,
thinking that it was her fault. But it was nobody's fault. Like they had their reasons why they got divorced. But it taught me so much, um just even through my relationships. Like I don't know, like I don't know that it taught me anything right away, because as I was getting older, I was going through different relationships, looking for a father for my
mm,
children, looking
yeah.
for these like people that are going to take care of me. And at some point, like I ended up dating somebody that I went to high school with, and he was a major league baseball player. We started dating and like fell in love, and then we got engaged, and then there was a bunch of stuff that happened, like he was cheating, and then I found out that he was cheating,
Oh
but I still
man.
stayed with him. And
Oh,
we're already engaged at that point. And long story short, we got married even though I wasn't sure that I wanted to, and then we ended up getting divorced.
wow.
But it was very challenging because I thought the right thing to do was to stay with him, because my
Mm,
mom was like, he's going to take care of you. He's a major league baseball player. Like he's got money. He's going to make sure your family's taken care of. But there were so many times where even in the relationship, I wasn't even sure that I wanted to marry him, but I just thought that was the thing,
yeah.
because, my mom always kind of settled for whatever. And I think it was probably challenging as a single mom to find somebody, and she was already like having a hard time in the United States. So I think when she was looking for a partner, she probably just settled. Not saying that she
Right.
settled with the guy that she married, but even whenever she was in a relationship when I was growing up, it wasn't a very good one.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that. So I felt like when I was settling for this guy, it just wasn't the right thing, and it
I
was
think
very,
like, sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
I was going to say, like, when you say settle, it sounds like there's two different things you're thinking of. Like, there's like marrying somebody for like that love, right? That
Yes.
it sounds like your mom didn't really seek that. She sought more like security and
Yes.
like a foundation for your family, and especially
Hmm.
like a father for you. But kind of forgot, like, or didn't even think about like
all the
what
other
does
little
she
things.
want? Yeah. Like,
Yep.
and so she settled in that way by like foregoing that. And, maybe you were kind of on that same path with your ex,
Yep.
who you're like, well, I'm not feeling really appreciated. I'm not being really,
Yep.
fulfilled in that way, but like, he'll give me the security because he has a good
Yep.
job, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And, but actually it's not settling, is it? Because what you're like, the first thing I think of with not settling is like, you're going to fight to find like the big love, like the thing that,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And it sounds like you've found that.
I did, but it actually took me a while because
Mm.
right after him, I jumped into a relationship right away and we moved to Portland
As we
together.
do.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's
Yep,
what took you to Portland initially?
Yes, that's what took me to
Okay.
Portland because he always
Okay.
wanted to move to Portland. So we moved to Portland, which
Right.
I remember a lot of my friends were like, Portland, that is
Right.
not Betina. Like, what? But I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm in love. And then we got engaged.
Yes.
And I remember again, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't think this is the relationship, but I didn't want to break the engagement because I thought that I would be a failure again.
Right.
I failed 2 relationships, but I'm so glad that I grew the courage to go and like I tried everything. Like we went to therapy, we did all the things, and it was just like, I knew that it was best for both of us, and he's happily married now too.
Aww.
And then I'm happy. Yeah. So I'm happy. Like even my ex before that is now happily married too. So everyone's happy.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's just, yeah, everyone's happy now. But it was very challenging for me because then I was like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me if I break the second engagement? It's so many little things that you're thinking of, but like, now I'm like, what do I think? Like now I'm more selfish than ever. Like, I'm like, no, I'm so happy. Like after that relationship, I was prioritizing only myself and what I wanted. And that's when I finally found Nick. So,
yeah.
But I learned, all those learnings were from all of the things that I watched from my mom. I took those experiences that my mom had and I kind of projected them onto these relationships because I thought there was the right thing to do. But then when I really sat back and looked at it, I'm like, oh, okay. Like maybe I should step away from these relationships.
Yeah. You can't help but absorb the decisions or habits or thinking patterns of your mom. Like, especially, I think there's something from daughter to mother that like, I think parents in general can be influential, but even if you're not trying to, or even if you're trying to not become your mother or whatever.
Oh my gosh, I am so much my mother, even if I don't want to be.
Yeah, you can't like help it. Which then like, as we look at our children, we realize like how much of an impact we are having and will have on our kids, right? Like, and it's such a huge responsibility. Before we go to your role as a mother, I want to just like rewind a little bit to Portland. So when you were living there, is that how you became introduced to Nike?
No, I actually got introduced to Nike in Chicago.
Oh, from before. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I started working with them in Chicago as a Nike master trainer, because that's what they used to call them. Yeah. And then when I moved to Portland, I got more connected with different groups and more of
I remember. Wait, so what year did you move to Portland?
2016.
Okay. So I would have met you way before then.
Yes.
I'm remembering like, oh, you moved to Portland. I
feel like it was one of those like summits or something.
Yeah. There would have been one. Yeah. So you moved around that time, was it?
Yes.
Like you had just, okay.
Yeah. 2016. I remember that's when.
Yeah. So you were already with Nike before you moved to Portland.
Yep. And I remember being really scared. I'm like, I don't know if it's still going to be the same opportunities because they do a lot more events in the bigger cities. Yes. But in Portland, I got connected to a lot of different people, and it was a good experience up there. I'm really happy. And I have like lifelong friends that I met, 2 Filipino friends, one of them that is about to have a baby.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of the, like just being a trainer? Well, so you did like a lot of performing, it sounds like, in high school.
Yes. I was a bass guitar player.
Oh, right. I read that somewhere. That is so awesome.
Yes.
Do you still play?
I don't. It's so interesting because people always ask me like, don't you miss playing? Aren't you passionate about playing? But I loved playing guitar. I loved playing bass guitar, but I loved performing more. It wasn't like I played guitar for relaxation. It was like I loved that thrill of being on stage and just like getting to step out of my comfort zone for a minute and just perform, and then being able to go home and just relax.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved that. Like I miss doing that. Like I played in a cover band. So
cool.
Yeah, we just like played Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, like Tupac, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's so cool. So when did you make the change from kind of like dance, performing music to fitness?
Yeah. It was 2012 or 2011 or 2012 when I started working out and I was in the band. And I thought I was in shape because I could dance around with a bass guitar for like 2+ hours. But then when I went to a workout class with my roommate, oh, there you go. Hello, Osa. Osa's been here the whole time.
Oh, what a little peach. Look at him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, he's gorgeous. What a sweet baby.
But
he has a lot of hair.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of hair, right?
Luna had more hair.
She had more? Wow.
More. We compared pictures and we're like, what? It's wild. But yeah, so I went to a workout class with my roommate and I quickly discovered that I was not in shape because I was trying to keep up with her 10-pound weights, which at the time I thought was insane. And I was like, oh, what? She's crazy with her 10-pound weights in this class. And after that, I just became addicted to going. So I kept going to the class. I decided to hire a personal trainer because I just love that feeling of getting stronger. And then I would go to my shows. And right before the shows, before we would perform, I would like do planks and squats and push-ups just to like get myself hyped up. And then my band members started doing them with me. And these are like people that aren't healthy at the time. And they were just like, they were like, all right, I guess I'll do some squats. I'll do some sit-ups.
You inspired them.
Yes. And, you know, and as cheesy as that was, I saw that influence that I had with them. So I was like, okay, if I can get them to do it, maybe I can like make some extra money and become a trainer and see if other people will work out with me. And then I ended up getting my certification. And then once I like posted it on Facebook, people were like, oh, I'm going to hire you. And so I just started getting a lot more clients. I started teaching classes. And then I ended up getting a job at this gym. And then from there, like it just kind of switched. Like I was waking up at 5 a.m. to go teach classes at 5, 6, 7 a.m. But then on the weekends, I was staying up till 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
I know. And it was just like, okay. So then I had to make a switch. I decided to quit the band because after 5 years of playing, we were making the same amount of money. You know, it wasn't very healthy. I was eating like gas station snacks, drinking a lot. And then I loved being able to see how I could get stronger in, you know, playing or in being a trainer and taking care of myself. You know, I was actually prioritizing sleep, my mental health. Everything just started to change once I started to incorporate fitness. Yeah. So yeah. And then that's eventually Nike found me, and then it all kind of spiraled from there.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It was such a natural transition in a way, because it's like teaching is a performance to an extent, right?
It is.
Like,
yeah.
Because you're standing up in front of people, they expect a certain presentation from you, right? Like, so you had that experience and that confidence to bring into being a trainer and standing up in front of like Nike and Apple as well. Yes. And then back to Nike.
Yeah, I know that was a big one. People were like, what? This is crazy.
I actually met with, Apple had like a launch something in, I think it was like December, November in New York City. I don't know if you heard about it. Was right around the time I think you had left them, I think. Okay. I don't know, but that's when I found out.
Yes. Yes. They did like a whole thing. Yeah. There was like a bunch of trainers that went up.
Yes. Yeah. So I was invited to some little gathering they had there. And anyway, that's where I found out. I'm like, wait, what happened to Betina? And they're like, oh, this is what somebody said was like, I think maybe they knew you were starting your own. Was it before you started your podcast and lineup maybe? Or we were already doing that?
I was already doing stuff, but like, I just kind of wanted to go. It was a different vibe to work for Apple full time.
Yes. Yes. I've heard about that schedule too.
It's just a different schedule.
There was something like Betina needed to be able to like fly. There was
Yes.
something like you needed to do like, they're like, you needed to like fly, like spread your wings more or something
That's
like
so
that.
funny. Was that one of the trainers that said that?
Yeah, I think it was maybe Lisa.
Oh, Lisa. Oh, I
think
see
maybe
Lisa
she,
say that.
I think
I
maybe
could
she
definitely
said that.
see Lisa saying that.
They were, everybody was like, oh my God, we miss her. But like she needed to fly. That was kind of the message. And I'm like, that makes sense.
That's so accurate. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because I literally felt like a bird in a cage. Not saying that they keep you in a cage, but I'm such a free spirit.
Yeah.
That once I did tell them that when I first signed on, I said, I'm scared because I'm used to being a free spirit, but I'm willing to see what you guys have to do because I've been a big Apple fan ever since the colored iMac or the MacBook or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You remember
whatever
that
they're
one
called.
with the handle?
Yes.
That Mac with that was colored. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I remember
that looked plastic kind of
yes,
like, yeah.
Like I have been such an Apple fan since the beginning. And so whenever I was approached by them and they offered me a contract, I was like, this sounds good, but I am a little scared because it's like I had commitment issues.
Yeah.
But I definitely had commitment issues. But, you know, I've learned so much from that company and that team. Jay Blahnik, who is the vice president of fitness technologies, like he's amazing.
Jay's the one who hired me initially for Nike back in 2009.
That's right. He's an amazing person. And so is Lisa. I learned so much from Lisa and all of the team members, like all the trainers. They are all my friends for life. Like they did such a good job building such a good team atmosphere. And I know that I'm never going to be a corporate girl. And that was the closest to corporate I was ever going to be.
Yeah.
And so like doing it was like, but I learned a lot, like as far as the team aspect, how to do things in the corporate environment. And I don't regret those years, but that's actually the best way to describe it. As Lisa said, I needed to fly. That's exactly.
You need to fly.
And I flew away.
Yeah. How did you find like the representation diversity within all your years of being a trainer? Like, did you feel, I mean, you started in Chicago then as a trainer, like, did you see a lot of other people of color, women of color? Like, did you feel like you stood out? Like
I stood out for sure. And I think that's where I got the attention of brands like Nike. And, you know, started doing all the other partnerships. But at the time, no, but now, like 2023, it's so cool to see how many, not even just people of color, but specifically Filipinos. Yeah. You know, I've been seeing so much of it and it's been really cool. And I feel like I've been a big part of it. Like I get so many messages from Filipinos that are trainers that like, I saw you and this and that, because in 2017, I won the Women's Health Next Fitness Star.
Right.
And that was really cool. Cause I remember that back then I would see so many people sending me messages saying like, I've never seen someone that looked like me on the cover of the Women's Health magazine. Yeah. So just seeing and representing Filipino women in that way was incredible. And back then, like when I first started, definitely didn't see any other Filipinos or Asian.
I mean, you sound like you've just had so much confidence, just with like your experience as a performer generally, but did it make you like, how did it make you feel when you were first starting and you're like, oh, I stand out. It sounds like ultimately it's been to your benefit. Yeah. But did it affect you? Like, did it psych you out at all? Or
it's really interesting because my mom always laughs at me because she's like, she's like, Betina, I don't know what it is, but you never like saw yourself as different. Yeah. Like you always kind of like, she's like, I don't know if it's because you were always around your cousins. And then whenever you were like 9 and 10, I married an American man. Like you always kind of just blended yourself in with everybody. And I think being in the high school that I was in, that was very diverse, it helped me kind of not see myself as different. You know, I was on the dance team and majority was of color on my dance team when I was in high school. So I think that I didn't see myself as different and I didn't start seeing myself as different until maybe, I think when I moved to Portland, to be honest. I think that was the first time I was really like, oh, people aren't used to seeing brown people. That was
Portland's unique in that way.
Yes, very different. People were very nice, but it was definitely way different. And I think because in Chicago it's very diverse.
Yeah.
A lot of people of color, and I lived in the city when I moved to the city when I was 18. So ever since moving to the city, it was it's very diverse. So I feel like when I first became a trainer, I didn't really see myself as like being different. And I didn't really see that until people were messaging me saying like, it's so cool to see somebody of color and someone that looks
Right.
like me. So
Yeah.
whenever I started hearing from other Filipinos or other Asian people, that's when I was like, oh, wow, I have a responsibility here,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think like what gave you that like sense of not feeling like you're different from just hearing your story is you had this so much love and support from your mom, right? Like
yeah,
whether or not she could buy a nice car, like you knew you were loved
mhm.
by her, right? Like that
Yes,
sounds
very
very
much so.
clear. And I think that gives a child this like deep sense of like belonging and
Yeah,
yeah, that emotional mental security.
security.
And also, if you're getting onto dance teams, you're getting into like school productions and stuff, you're being approved, you're being
Yep,
validated, you're being accepted, right? Like it's not
yep,
like just like, oh, I can't be in that show. You didn't have that feeling because you did get those
hmm,
opportunities. So especially to have that kind of experience when you are young and your
hmm,
mind and your sense of self are developing, it's really powerful. So you were
yeah,
able to like move into these new things and your new chapters, new roles in your life, not thinking like, oh wait, where am I lacking, but like having
yes,
this confidence. And I love the way though that like even though you came from that confidence, as you're getting these messages from people who are like, wow, you're giving me courage because of who you are, and then you're connecting that dot and you're seeing the responsibility in it. I love that you
hmm,
joined into that, like
yes,
that you weren't like, oh, well, I didn't struggle, so I can't relate to you, but you were more like,
yes,
oh, wait, this is like how the world is seeing me, and
exactly.
like really
Well,
owning that.
and I really started to own it even more when I started working for Apple, because I knew how much they embraced diversity and accessibility. And so that's when I finally started incorporating Tagalog into my workout videos, because I would do
Mm,
these Nike projects and it would be like one-offs, like you would just film for like 4 or 5 days.
yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, like let me just go in and just crush it and just do what I do, but not like incorporate anything. And at Apple, like they taught us how to do sign language.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
was, doing all these different things to make people feel a part of what you're doing. And so that's when I was like, you know what, let me just start incorporating kamustika, like hello, and like, okay, like this, what, like different phrases that helped people feel like they were part of it. And what's Apple Fitness Plus launched, and people were messaging about the Tagalog, and not even just Filipinos, but then other people were like, hey, my wife is Filipino. I love that you were incorporating this, and then other
Yeah.
people were hearing the languages, and even people that don't have any association with Filipinos, they were messaging me like, hey, I learned how to say this. I love that. It's cool
Yeah.
to just spread the language even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that.
Mhm.
I think also like when it comes to this talk of diversity and racial equity, it can get very intense. Like
Yeah.
I know that when I engage in these conversations, can be intense, emotional, and sometimes in like I feel like there's a really fine line between like, okay, we're all going to come together and meet in like a similar sort of goal achieving place, or it could be more divisive
Yeah.
because like people can get defensive and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But I love the way that you're just so optimistic, and like even with your even with being pregnant and like we've been texting and chatting about like when you were still pregnant and you're waiting and to see like
Yep.
when your little one was going to arrive, and you're just so optimistic. You're so like you're very like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, like it'll be good. And
I get
how
that
would
from my mom. I feel like my mom
yeah
was always very optimistic.
yeah
But the one thing that I noticed with my mother was that she was optimistic to so much that she would hide her feelings
mm,
whenever there were things that were challenging. I learned from that, and I know that whenever I'm very positive, but whenever I'm not feeling a certain way, or if I'm not feeling like I should be positive, like I like to talk about it, I like to express it, I like to feel it. my mom liked to bury those feelings with
Yeah.
her positivity. So I feel like I've learned from that. But I did get a lot of the positive energy from my mom, because anytime, like when my mom was here last week, we have a nanny that helps, and she texted me after she met my mom, and she was like, "I like your mom. She's so sociable, and very,
Yeah.
very friendly." And I was like, "Yeah, she is. She really
Yeah.
is."
Do you think the not talking about the hard feelings, is that cultural? Like, do you
I
find that
think
in Filipino culture a lot? Because I do for sure in Korean culture.
I think it is. I really think it's that, and also like the survival.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to express how you feel, because like it's only going to like slow you down, or I don't really know. I think it's going to affect other people. Like you just got to focus on just making other people happy. Like Filipinos are very, especially the Filipino women, they're people pleasers, and they
Mm,
want to make sure that everyone around them feels good.
yeah.
And so I think that that's where my mom gets it. It's like if she doesn't feel good, like she's just not going to talk about it. And
Right.
I don't know if that's why she got divorced, but maybe she had issues early on and never wanted to talk about it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I just wonder, because
So
my mom's
you,
even now is not married, or she hasn't had a long relationship ever since she married my ex stepfather. So I always
right.
wonder, like, if she had better communication skills, would she have had a relationship? She probably doesn't even want one, but
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
So that kind of taught you to not like
Not
ignore
hold
that
back.
stuff, right? So you did, so what that leads me to my next kind of set of questions is about just like how you take care of yourself and your mental health. And
Yeah.
do you have you ever done therapy?
I've done therapy. I did therapy
Yeah,
with
you
my
did you
ex
said
that
you
was
did
in
counseling.
Portland.
Yeah,
But
together.
we did counseling together, but then I also did individual therapy. And that's what
Yeah.
I think helped me realize, okay, like I remember when she started unraveling, like, oh crap, like it seems like you're going to get divorced. Like she was kind of like, okay, well, at least we did the work.
Mm.
And that's when I felt more comfortable in the couples therapy to bring all that stuff up. Um, so I don't do any therapy now, but ever since I started dating my ex Tim, who I was just engaged to, the one I moved to Portland
Yeah.
with, we did a lot of meditation
Mhm.
together, not together, but we started it together. And
Yeah.
so we just started with the app, like the Headspace app. And so that was since like 2015 that I started meditating with an app. And then even now, like I'm able to just meditate on my own, like no, just like set a timer, or just sit outside and just close my eyes and just have some visualizations and
Yeah.
some breaths.
And what's the
That
benefit? What's the benefit you find from that?
for me, the biggest thing for me is I used to have such bad anxiety, and like I would spiral a lot. Like
Mm,
once I start to feel a certain way, I'd start getting deep into that thought and just really get engulfed in that thought. But meditation has helped me see the thoughts for what they are, acknowledge them, and just kind of put them away, and just be like, okay, I'm feeling this, I see this, but I am not this.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's been the biggest thing. And it's also helped me with really intense moments, like when I want to blow up, or I want to like get really like I'm able to just stop and think and like rewire whatever is happening.
Because it's
Hi,
like strength.
Elisa.
Because it's like strengthening.
Yes,
It's so strengthening a muscle, like a physical muscle, like a literal muscle. It's the
exactly.
same, right?
And there are definitely times where I've not done it as much as I would, like a few months before, and I could feel the difference in
Right.
the tension in my shoulders,
Yeah.
the tension between Nick and I, like
Yeah.
just little things, like, and him and I, like he has his own forms of meditation, going outside and just gardening and relaxing. But for me, it's like I actually want to sit, especially with technology. I feel like we can distract ourselves so easily.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh yeah, but I sit around all the time. I'm like, yeah, but you're scrolling on your phone.
Yes.
So like,
Scrolling people,
and I think,
scrolling does not count as
yes,
meditating.
no, it doesn't. And the thing is
Yeah.
I get that, like sometimes that's meditative for people in a way,
Yeah.
and that could be just a way you like unwind, but there,
Sure.
there's definitely a better way to not distract yourself with nothing.
Well, I think
But
there's a difference between like you want to stop thinking about things and then you can scroll or
Mhm.
watch a show or something like that and it gets you out of your own brain.
Uh-huh.
But like actually having an intentional moment
Yes.
of meditating and not relying on anything else, that has its own, that's like a whole other thing, right? Like
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So you meditate, obviously you do your
Yep.
training. Do you
I work out.
do you work out every single day? Do
No,
you take a rest day?
excuse me. No, so when I was pregnant, it was definitely more like 3 to 5 times a week. When I'm not pregnant, same thing, 3 to 5 times a week. And like good easy, hey buddy boy, there you go.
Yeah. He's being so good.
I
He's just
know he
hanging
is.
out.
He
He's
really
being so
is. He
good.
is. Yeah, excuse me. I typically like I incorporate strength training like 3 to 4 times a week. And then I like to do like walks or like something like active, like whether it's like pickleball, tennis, like something
Yeah.
like where I'm moving, but it's not like strength training.
Right.
I like to do a lot of stuff with my husband, like some sort of conditioning.
Is he a trainer? He's a trainer too? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have to drink so much water when
You're breastfeeding.
Yeah. When
Oh
you're
my
nursing.
gosh, so much
Yeah.
water. And I've been getting over this like little cold. I'm also gonna open this because it's
Oh man.
hot in my office now. Oh, there we go. That's the breeze that I was hoping for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's also a performance coach. He actually is he used to play football and he was in the NFL for a short stint, but now he's a performance trainer. He focuses mainly on like training NFL athletes. He has a wider range of clients. Like he has actors, musicians, but he loves the performance coaching. So it's
do you
fun,
actually
'cause,
still
like,
do you still oh sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it went it went a little bit funny for a second, but do you still actually see clients or do you
I don't as much
yeah.
anymore. Like I have one online client that she will literally never let me go. Like she'll probably stalk me until
I
until I answer her calls. No, but no, I have one that I still train sporadically, like at least once a week. Sometimes I catch her 2 times a week. But no, I don't see a lot of clients anymore.
Yeah.
In person, definitely not.
Yeah.
Especially with the schedule that I had. With I kind of stopped that around the Apple time just because it was a full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was there like Monday through Friday. So I
It's
just
like
had
9
to
to
stop.
5,
So
right?
inconsistent. It was 9 to 5 and kind of inconsistent in the way that it was also a production schedule.
Sure.
So it would be,
it's a lot.
I had to be available 9 to 5, but then sometimes I had to be there at 6 a.m. to film. So
right.
it was kind of like,
that's so
I
much.
couldn't like commit to my clients. I know. So, yeah, I don't see any clients anymore. So mainly I'm like focusing on writing. I write programs, film workouts. So yeah, not a ton of actual like one-on-one training. But as far as what I do to take care of myself, the workouts, also like cold plunge, sauna.
Oh yeah.
I love massages. They're expensive, but I feel like I need them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
I love me a good massage.
Yeah. What kind of massage do you do?
Do
you do like
so usually it's like a deep tissue Swedish kind of massage. That's my favorite. And then usually the person that I work with will do cupping or like gua sha and scraping.
Yeah.
Just depending on what I need.
Do you find the cupping is actually helpful? Like I've done it a few times.
Yeah, I really like it. I actually have my own little cups that I use sometimes just to like move some blood around. I always feel like it helps. I usually get cupping more when I'm doing like acupuncture. I feel like the Chinese medicine is usually incorporating it a little more than it just depends.
So you have to make time for all these I mean, I guess self-care is the best term to cover it all. I used to hate that term. Like I don't know why, but I just like, because it sort of started, the term came onto the scene. Yeah. I think it's just anytime anything is overly trendy, I'm like, oh, boo.
I know. And I think
actually...
it was like also people would be like self-care and then just be like drinking a cup of coffee. And it's like, I get it. I totally get it. Like, but again, like as a mom, it's pretty accurate. Like I joke with my husband, like, I was like, I don't get a hot drink ever.
I know.
Like I want to get one of those ember mugs, you know, those ember mugs that like stay hot.
Yeah.
I really want to get one. And I keep talking about it. I might as well just order one on Amazon after this call.
Yeah.
But I never get a hot drink.
I know.
Like I'll and we have a tea kettle, and like by the time I turn the tea kettle on and it goes on, or like it whistles,
clicks,
like I have to do it again. I have to do it again because
totally,
it's not hot. And then
do you,
so yeah,
is your
self-care.
do you and Nick share a lot of the parenting like responsibilities naturally, like, or because you kind of ultimately both work for yourselves, right? Like,
yes, we both work from home. We actually moved to Texas because he got a job out here.
Oh,
and
cool.
he started working at the job, but then realized I don't get as much time with my girls anymore.
Oh,
and so
wow.
he actually left.
Oh,
he left because for both of us.
Wait, when did you move there? Not that long
we
ago,
moved
right?
there in July of last year,
Right.
but he started the job in May. But then like when we bought the house and we started making our routine here, he was like, I'm like never home. I'm never home when Aluna wakes up. I'm never home when she eats at night.
Yeah.
And like, that's not okay for me. And
No.
so he quit in November, and like now he's always with her. And especially now that I have Osa, like he takes care of Aluna for the most part. Like Aluna is like his little buddy. Like she follows him around everywhere. She loves being in the greenhouse with him. It's a ton of fun for him. Like he loves being a girl dad. But he changes a lot of diapers. He changes all her diapers right now ever since I had Osa. I think I've changed her diaper twice since for the past 3 weeks.
Well, you're doing like probably a dozen a day with Osa.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Well, because I was going to ask, like, how has it felt to, we're always talking about the elusive, like balancing motherhood and the rest of your life. Like, how has that felt? Just, you have the support of Nick, who has flexibility, which, that's something.
Yeah.
But
well, I will say the whole Apple opportunity was nice because having Aluna for the first child, I actually had a real maternity leave.
Right.
So I had 4 months of me not having to go to work, not have to worry about it. And like, when I was working with Apple, they were a little more, they like, you weren't allowed to work with other partners or anything. So like, I couldn't like do any other work. Right. I wasn't like, I literally had to just be a mom for 4 months. Yeah. But I think it drove me a little crazy after after a month.
Yeah. To have been having such a busy, full life, travel, all this stuff, and then to like stop.
Yeah. And so we ended up doing a lot of like fun family things. Like once she was allowed to fly, like we started like going to visit our family, doing this and doing that. But so those first 4 months was like, I just got to be a mom. But then once I went back to work, and that's kind of when I realized like, I think I need to be free. I was like, I'm being told of when I have to be somewhere. And I didn't love it.
Yeah.
And some people don't mind it. Some people like just deal with it and they're like, okay, cool, but this is what I want to do. But for me, it just wasn't okay.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be able to spend time with Aluna, like just like how Nick, took a job out here and was like, I'm never home and I don't like it. So I had to figure out real quick, like, okay, is this what I want long-term? Like, this is a cool job, but I really want to spend time with Aluna as much as I can. And I want to work from home. I want to do this. And then the job with Nick, he actually got the job. And so it kind of like all of it kind of presented itself. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to leave because Nick is moving, or Nick got a job. And I think this is the universe being like, this is what you guys need. So balancing it all. I'm just really big on boundaries. Like I just set like, hey, this is when I'm available. Like even when we were scheduling stuff, like I was like, hey, this is when I'm available, but then I have like some flexibility here. I don't like make myself too available for things. And then as far as travel goes, like if I have to travel for Nike or stuff, like I'm going to ask and see if like I can get, a room that has 2 beds. So like somebody else can come and help with me with the baby, just like little things like that. Like obviously in a respectful way. I think it's important to ask, like, I never expect anyone to give me anything, but, I just, no matter what, like, I know I'm never going to get these years back.
Yeah.
And this time, especially knowing that my mom left me for 6 months, I'm like,
oh yeah. And
but, and that's the ultimate sacrifice though. And if I ever have to do anything where I'm like really gonna have to sacrifice, I really would have to sit there and think like, is it worth it? Cause like, I love just spending time with them.
Yeah.
Like, if I've left on trips and I've been gone for like 2 or 3 days and I come back, I'm like, that was the worst. But at the same time, it is nice when I get to sleep in.
Yeah,
And that's the one thing. I definitely like look at the bright side when I'm gone and I miss them. Like I think there was a trip that I did at I was at 36 weeks pregnant, and it was the last trip that I was going to do. And like it was 4 days, and they had me come in a day early, and I was like, man, I didn't do anything all day. And I was like, no, this is actually pretty nice. I gotta really embrace this.
Yeah.
Like there's no like toddler tugging at my feet. Like I missed
Yeah.
her terribly, but I was like, this is actually very, very nice.
That's the thing. That's the duality of motherhood,
I
right?
know.
Like you can't imagine missing anything in their lives, especially
Yes.
for any like long duration. But at the same time, when you make a decision that takes you away from it, you're like, oh, wow, like there's so much
Wow.
space. There's so
Exactly.
much time. Like I've
Yep.
gotten to the point now where sometimes I like tune out all the mom, like they like
Yes.
because it's just like
I
constant.
bet.
Like, and my kids are 6.5 years apart. So they need really different things, like, so I feel like
Yes.
there's like never a break because they don't really do that much together. A little,
Yes.
my son, if he's feeling quite generous with his attention, he'll like play with her or like look after
Mm.
her. Like, but after like 10 minutes,
He's over it.
he's like, how long has it been? I'm like, it's been 10 minutes. He's like, oh, that felt like 2 hours, cause like, I mean, like playing with a toddler is,
Yes.
I think if it's your own
That's so
child, you
funny.
love them, but like, it can be quite mind numbing, right?
100%.
Like,
100%.
oh, yay, let's just build this block tower and break it down for the 18th time over the
Oh
last
yeah.
3 minutes. Like,
You have no idea how many times I draw snakes
oh my God, yeah.
with like, should have spelled snake. I'm like, I already drew a snake. How many more snakes do you want me to draw?
And then they still have the same enthusiasm for like the 10th snake versus the first one, right?
Yes.
Like,
And you're like,
and
okay.
you're just like, so, but yeah, it's like this, it's just this the duality of it. Like you don't want to miss a thing, but at the same time, you realize like it's good to take
and I embrace
break.
those moments. Like I do, like I have a small moment of guilt, and then I'm like, no, embrace it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. If there's moments of mom guilt with, I guess like so Osa is 3.5. How old is he? 3
weeks as a
3 weeks.
Today.
3 weeks. I cannot believe how
it feels like yesterday.
Oh God, I just cannot believe how normal you are, how beautiful you look, how
It's the natural lighting.
No, I'm just so amazed.
Thank you.
Like I just like it's so amazing and inspiring. What do you think is like, do you think there's a secret for new moms like to, I don't, cause like you don't know how your motherhood experience is going to be, right? Nobody knows, but
nobody knows. I don't know what the secrets are, but I feel like some things that have helped me are the work that I've done prior to being a mom, like as far as, the meditation, therapy, and just knowing myself and what I need. And then also like general positivity helps. Nick and I laugh because there are times where he is crying hysterically and Aluna's crying hysterically. And like most people would just be like, oh my gosh. But sometimes we just look at each other and we just start laughing. Yeah. Because we're like, we wanted this, and there's nothing else you could do. And there's actually this thing, because actually in our most recent episode that Nick and I recorded of Beyond the Routine, we were talking about keeping calm amongst chaos. And it comes out later this week, but we talk about one of the things that I do, which is really cheesy, and Nick was like eye rolling it because he's like very serious all the time. And sometimes I just literally smile, and like I feel like I manifest that energy of just like positivity when I smile. Like even if I'm like doing something that's like stressful, I just have to like tell myself, like just smile.
God,
and
I love it.
Sounds so weird, but it like your body all of a sudden like gets this like,
well, there's a different energy of it.
Yes, totally. Energy. Yeah. And we just saw that Steph Curry, the basketball player, was he was doing something where he like, I think he like missed a bunch of free throws or something. I can't remember what it was, but he was like smiling at the audience or at the sidelines or something. And in his post interview, he talks about how he was like, no, those smiles were really intentional because I feel like your positive energy manifests into real life. And I was like, hey, see, Nick, see, look, see,
Steph Curry said so.
Yes, I was like, see, and it was after we recorded the episode because he was like laughing at me and he was like, okay, you smile. Okay, I'm going to try it. And I was like, see, look, even Steph does it. So, it's really cheesy at times, but like it's just something you almost have to force yourself to do. But like there are times where I'll be cooking and I'm like so stressed because I'm like, oh, Luna's doing this, but then like I'll literally just breathe, take a deep breath, and just smile, and then like my whole attitude changes. I'm like, all right, this is not bad. I'm literally just cutting onions.
Yeah. I also, I feel, I don't know if this is scientifically accurate, but I read before that like, it actually takes more energy to frown than to smile. Have you heard that before?
I have heard that.
More muscle. It takes more muscle to frown than to smile.
Yes. So you're expending more energy.
Yeah. So maybe I've never tried that before, I have to say, like, but
and you don't have to give yourself a big teethy smile, but just even just like a smirk, you know, like,
right. Like you don't have to be all creepy about it, but like, and I think, there's something to even just having the intention of it, just having that, like, and that requires a lot of self-awareness I think that's a big thing with mental health, is a lot of it is out of people's control, right? Like it's not at all like, oh, you just smile and then you won't have anxiety or depression. Like it obviously doesn't work that way. But like, I know for me, when I've gone into like darker spirals, I've like given my power away to the mood or that negative state of mind, like I forget that I actually am not my thoughts. I forget that I have agency, even though for sure it's harder to like tap into that optimism. Let's say there's moments in life where it's easier and where it's harder, right? For sure. But I think it's that moment of self-awareness where you're like, oh man, I'm about to get really stressed while cutting these onions. I'm just gonna remind myself of like whatever your practice is for you to smile, or some people are like focus on what they're grateful for, or sometimes it's just as simple as like, I'm just gonna ground myself with like 3 deep breaths. It's not so much the thing that you do as it is like the awareness, right? Like
that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, awareness. It's that awareness. And like, you could do whatever you could do, but whatever it is that makes you, and this is the practice of meditation also, right? Is that
it's slowing down.
Yeah. And like, you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of your feelings. You are not your thoughts, right? Like that's the whole kind of idea of it. So I think it's that like ability to just like understand what is going on with you and to not just be overtaken by the moment, the responsibility, the feeling, your kids wanting things or whatever, and just being able to be like, it's a self-check-in, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's what's helped me through so many things with motherhood in the early stages, especially like I'll be nursing and I could feel that sense of loneliness. So I have to communicate to Nick. I'm like, hey, I feel lonely right now. Can you come inside? Or, hey, can you like turn on the TV? Or, oh, hey, maybe I'll FaceTime my friend. Like being able to be aware that I'm feeling that loneliness.
Yeah. That's because that's real. The loneliness and the isolation of early motherhood is real. And I think for me, like I went through pretty bad postpartum depression with my first, and that was huge. Like I didn't have I like wasn't aware that I don't know, because my whole thing was like, well, everyone has babies. It's fine. Everything's fine. Like I was just like, it didn't really understand like how much more I would need that was different to however life was before. And like, I didn't even know to recognize it, let alone ask.
And you were such a different person 9 years ago than you are right now,
Yeah. But I mean, I've looked at you and like the fact that you've had another baby so soon. And like, I find that so fascinating. And I know lots of mothers do, but for me, that was like, no way. Like mentally, it was like, I can't handle that, like,
well, you'll think I'm insane because we're ready for a third.
Oh my God. I mean, I believe it though. I think like, cause my 2 experiences have been so different.
Yeah.
And with Avi, my second, my daughter, I really could finally understand why other people like, like why you could be like, I'm ready for another baby.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, if I had a child at like 24, like my mom did, I probably would never have another one.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know. Like it so
You know?
matters like what like at what point in your life and the state
Mhm.
of mind and everything. But do you think you'll have another one or you just
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. Our
I
midwives
mean
keep telling us wait 6 months, but so we're gonna have to wait the 6 months so my placenta
yeah.
heals, all of that they keep
Yeah.
telling us. But no, we're ready. We
Yeah.
might because we kind of want them to be close together just because I'm
Yeah.
also getting older.
Yeah.
So I just don't, and my husband's a lot younger than I am, but like I'm ready to just do them all like
Yeah.
before I'm 40. So
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I'm just
yeah.
aware of our time and you've been holding
Oh yeah, no.
your 3-week old, but
He's passed out
oh,
now.
did he fall asleep? What a good baby. Oh my gosh. And I think there is again, like I hesitate to say stuff where it sounds like we have full control of what happens, with our children, but I know that I was such a different person with my daughter and she is so much more relaxed and that connection
Mm,
because I think they just like we said earlier with how you absorb things that
yeah.
you've seen your mother the way
Mhm.
she's lived and some of it is like conscious and not conscious whatever but I think even from when they're newborns they're like absorbing our energy and
Yes.
I know that like it's not like my bad mood automatically made my son difficult.
I
I
know.
know it's not that basic, but like there
But no,
has to
they
be
feel your
some
energy.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
so I was so anxious, so, like just not connected with myself, unhappy. And my son was a more difficult baby. And it's totally the
Yeah.
opposite with my daughter. So
Oh, wow.
I just feel like, oh, if the mother doesn't have postpartum depression, has a good experience, like in turn they have like a more chill baby. I feel like it kind of
Yes.
like snowballs on itself in a positive way and then
Yes.
you're like ready to have another baby right away,
I
like
know.
that kind of mentality.
And
Like
also just like it's been kind of chaotic in the past few days, like as far because Aluna's not sleeping well because of the
it's a huge
changes.
transition. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah, such a big transition, but it is for us like we're just like we just had such a better experience also with my birth this
yes,
time
that's
around.
right. Yeah,
So that's a big one for us. And then I don't know, I think we're just ready. We just love having like he's just so cute.
yeah, I know.
I look at him, I was
I
like, I just want
know,
to squeeze your cheeks.
so cute.
Um,
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah,
yeah,
it's fun. And again, like I said, I want to do try to have them all before I'm 40. So then I can just really focus on like doing other stuff, like right now I'm like kind of balancing the mom work life and I'm also like embracing it. Like I feel like we're in this time period where finally Nike's celebrating moms. Like it took them a long time,
yes. Oh my
but
gosh, they didn't have maternity clothes when I first
mm,
signed with them
I
at all.
remember,
Like
yes.
nothing. Yeah. Even after
And
I had my first, like it
they just
wasn't a part
started
of it.
that. Like I think when
Do
I
what do you
first, when
what do you think like do you think it was Allison Felix? I
I,
feel like she
mm,
had a big impact.
I think that was a
Oh,
big impact. I think they just knew it was time.
yeah.
Uh, and they did, and they're doing a really good job. Like I love all of the maternity stuff. Like I lived in it. Like I have so many pairs of the tights. Like it's
Yeah.
all I wore during pregnancy. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even buy any other pregnancy clothes.
Do
I'm working
they
out
do
all the
they
time. I'm
roll
still
did they roll down the
they roll
tights
down
that
if you want
yeah.
them to.
Yeah. I
Yeah, they
mean, but
go for the belly.
did they roll down like in an
No,
uncomfortable way? Do they
no, no,
actually
no.
stay up over your belly?
They actually stay up over the belly.
Okay,
So
that's good to know.
comfy.
Yeah.
Once you get to like third trimester though, you want to roll them down
Right.
because
Yeah. You
like
want it. Yeah.
yeah because
Nothing will go
they're
over it
just
at that point.
no
Yeah.
no but
Yeah.
like they were just such a cute little bump, like, and they just came out with a new legging too that's even more comfortable, and I'm like, man, right after I'm done pregnant, but I'm gonna be pregnant again, so see.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
see.
Is there
But yeah,
were there any other pregnant trainers like at this time that you were pregnant, this last
um
pregnancy?
at Nike, no,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
but it's funny, at Apple I was the first trainer that was pregnant, and I remember being
Yeah.
so scared of telling them.
Right. I
And
was with
I
Nike.
was,
I was
oh,
terrified.
I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah.
And I told them, but then after that, like they're like 4 girls got pregnant.
Yeah. I mean, the timing is you're just been at the right place at the right
Yeah,
time, like at
yeah,
multiple, I feel
yeah,
like phases in your life. And
yes,
there's such a blessing with that. And I love seeing that. And especially as a woman of color, I like
yeah.
love seeing you front and center. It's
Thank
just
you.
like so awesome. And I used to have this idea of what being a mother meant was going to happen to me as a person, as a professional. And I felt that it was really limiting. Over the years, I've learned that's not true. And, watching you and
Oh,
seeing that you are still doing your thing and actually letting your personal life evolve, what you talk about, professionally as well, and holding the space for pregnant women and mothers, and women of color is so important, and
thank you.
like, yeah,
Thank you.
the world is lucky to have you, Bettina.
Thank
Oh
you.
my
We're lucky
gosh.
to have you.
Oh my goodness. I hope we can see each other in real life at some
Me
point.
too.
I'm sure something will bring you to New York, and you have to let
Oh
me
yeah.
know when you're
I'll
in New
definitely let you
York.
know. I
Yeah.
would
I
love
don't
that.
know. Where in Texas are you?
Outside of Dallas.
Outside of Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything will take me to
I
Texas,
know.
but
Everyone's always like, I don't know. Maybe everyone goes to Austin, but not
Austin. Yeah.
Dallas.
We
Nick's
have,
family is from here, so that's why
oh,
we're here.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it was like his parents as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so you have a village. You kind of
Yeah.
got like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think that makes a
It's
big
nice.
difference too, for
It
like
does.
the support and
I think that's
everything.
why we're also feeling very settled. Because if we had a second in LA, it's so expensive. Even finding help
Yeah.
is expensive. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you so much. This has
Yes.
been incredible. Yeah, this has been the best.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that we got able to catch up.
I know. I cannot believe you did this holding your 3-week-old. Like
The whole time.
I know that's incredible. But all right. I will update you when this is all ready to go. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Betina. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Happy hump
Bye.
day.
Bye.